The Severan Dominate is a secessionist human empire under the personal control of Duke Severus XIII. The Dominate holds over a dozen planets, with its capital seated on Karacallia. Originally part of the Imperium, the Severan Dominate consists of worlds the Duke Severus acquired in the periphery subsector of the Calixis sector. He acquired these worlds with the help of the Dark Eldar when the region began to plunge into chaos during the Spinwood Front Wars. Severus announced his annexation of the worlds under his influence into a private fiefdom, popularizing the move as a revolution against imperial tyranny. The Dominate maintains a bastardized version of the imperial cult used to enhance the power of Severus XIII. To this end, the Dominate maintains a corps of political officers known as ducal legates to enforce its ideology. Dominant ideology emphasizes three pillars: interdependence, justice, and honesty. While they seem lofty and progressive on paper, in truth, Dominate ideology is twisted to allow for a functional, totalitarian state. Beset on all sides by Imperial troops, Orcs, Dark Eldar, and Chaos forces, the Severan Dominate somehow continues to withstand them all, if only tenuously. Thanks to Severus's many agents and orators, its populations still rally to the cause of their despotic master and willingly renounce the rule of the Imperium. Militarily, the Dominate maintains a small but capable army, primarily composed of Planetary Defense Force troops and mercenaries. The Severan Dominate has only a minuscule number of soldiers at its command in comparison to the innumerable forces of the Imperial Guard. Though the rebels lack the resources of the Imperial Guard, their shorter supply lines and familiarity with the environment ensure that the ranks of Severan Dominate troops are a threat to the men and women of the Imperial Guard. Severan Dominate forces echo the Imperial Guard in their organization. A typical squad consists of 9 soldiers led by a sergeant. One soldier may carry a special weapon, most likely a flamer or grenade launcher. More technologically sophisticated weapons, such as plasma guns and melter guns, are not unheard of, but the Severan Dominate's access to these rare weapons is substantially limited. In addition, 2 soldiers can work together to operate a heavy weapon, most commonly a heavy flamer, missile launcher, or autocannon. Severan Dominate soldiers are drawn from across the worlds under Duke Severus's leadership. Had events transpired differently, these very individuals might be serving in the Imperial Guard rather than opposing it. For many of these soldiers, fighting against the forces of the Imperium is an uncomfortable prospect at best. They do not view themselves as traitors or enemies of the Emperor, but as victims of the unjust policies of the Adeptus Terra, that is, if they hold any view whatsoever of the wider issues at play. For many Severan Dominate soldiers, they are simply following orders and protecting their families back home. Of course, the same could be said of many guardsmen. Severan Dominate soldiers are generally equipped in a similar manner to the Imperial Guard. In fact, much of their equipment was supplied by the Departamento Munitorum prior to the secession of the worlds, which now swear allegiance to the Severan Dominate. However, the lack of Departamento Munitorum oversight and resources ensures a broader range of equipment than is seen even amongst the diverse regiments of the Imperial Guard. Many Severan Dominate regiments simply utilize the equipment of their home world's standing armed forces, which they are able to keep maintained and supplied due to their close proximity and short supply lines. Consequently, various patterns of autoguns, shotguns, and other stub weapons are as common as laser guns amongst the forces of the Severan Dominate. Sergeants of the Severan Dominate military are usually enlisted, just as those under their command. In most cases, a sergeant and his squad served together within a planetary defense force before being conscripted to the Severan Dominate cause. In this way, they are not unlike most Imperial Guard sergeants. Also, like their counterparts in the Imperial Guard, sergeants of the secessionist forces often have only a vague understanding of why they are fighting a given battle, knowing only that they are following orders. In some cases, they do not even fully comprehend the nature of the war or the true severity of the Duke's actions. Others, though, are fully dedicated to the secessionist cause. Military resources are stretched thin for the Severan Dominate. Nevertheless, certain soldiers who display a high level of ability earn recognition as Severan shock troopers. These veteran soldiers are equipped with the finest weapons and armor within the Severan Dominate's possession and grouped into squads of shock troopers, comparable to the elite stormtroopers of the Imperium. Most Severan Dominate soldiers are relatively green, especially by the standards of a typical Imperial Guard regiment. Consequently, shock troopers are quite rare. The Severan Dominate leadership does not waste these elite troops' talents and deploys them only under circumstances where other soldiers are insufficient. The loss of each shock trooper is a serious blow to the Severan Dominate's limited resources, and the decision to risk their lives and equipment is not made lightly. Shock troopers are highly dedicated to the Duke's cause and willing to give their lives in the protection of the Severan Dominate. Though typically assigned to special operations missions and lightning raids, shock troopers are sometimes given the duty of protecting an important officer or other official of the Severan Dominate, where their experience and unflinching loyalty can mean all the difference. Thank you for listening to this entry from the Warhammer 40,000 Lexicanum.